Facebook is continuing to dump money into the metaverse. At this point, they've spent about $10 billion in several months of time to build this monstrosity. We're launching Horizon Worlds in France and Spain today. Oh, no, France. This is so much worse than all of the other invasions combined. You have to admit that this is the worst conqueror to have. Alien overlord Mark Zuckerberg. Now, the Zuck tries to act like Facebook created the metaverse. Maybe he does that because his company has lost over $500 billion in their campaign to build it. But in reality, there's been other kinds of metaverses that have existed for decades now, and they're all way more successful because the creators of these digital worlds actually understand their audiences. Take Second Life as an example. This game is almost 20 years old at this point. That's right, it's older than some of you that are watching, and this is what characters looked like 2 decades ago. Wow, despite using decades-old graphics and having 1/1,000,000th the budget of Meta, somehow these early Second Life characters seem more human than the metaverse meatbags do. But let's be honest, having super realistic graphics doesn't really matter that much for a video game to be fun. In fact, if you insist on your virtual world or your video game having crazy high-end graphics, then you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot because the system requirements to get a smooth frame rate in your virtual world are going to go way up. All of a sudden, you need a PC that costs more than a car just to get a smooth 60 FPS, with a graphics card that draws more power than all of your major household appliances combined. The moment you enable RTX, the lights in the room start to flicker, and hopefully your PC isn't plugged into the same outlet as Grandma's iron lung, otherwise she'll soon be entering the great metaverse in the sky. No, I say graphics are overhyped. What gamers really want is to experience something. They want to feel something when they play your game or when they enter your metaverse, if that's what you want to call it. It's kind of hard to really explain what the feeling is in technical terms, so I'll just call it soul. The games that people have the most fun playing are games with soul. Second Life is probably the game that I see most people comparing to the metaverse because of the whole virtual world concept. Now, as to how much soul it has, I can't really speak to that personally because I've never really been into the game, but it sort of does have a cult-like following because the people that are into Second Life tend to really be into it. So I guess it does have some soul then, but I can understand why. I mean, just look at all the cool things you can do. Notice how they're talking about extraordinary worlds, okay? This actually is somewhat extraordinary compared to the metaverse, especially when you compare the budgets, because their trees actually have foliage on them. I guess Meta couldn't afford that. They couldn't afford bikes either. I haven't seen bikes in the metaverse. They couldn't afford a giant windmill mansion thing on a cliff. They couldn't afford these demons that look like they're making a snuff propaganda film. They couldn't afford this giant clock in the ocean or this exploding room that goes out into a wheat field. I mean, I guess this is kind of something that you could actually see in real life, but this is what people want in VR games, right? They want things that are actually extraordinary and not the lame crap that we've seen in the metaverse so far. Like, I seriously struggle to wrap my head around how Meta managed to spend $10 billion on this project to end up with Nintendo Wii graphics and still somehow be lamer than the Miiverse, because Metaverse doesn't even have Marcus shitposting in the new Super Luigi U community. No, the moment that a Marcus shows up in the Metaverse, you can guarantee that he's gonna get insta-banned. This is what people enjoy doing in video games and these virtual worlds. Shitposting, acting like a goober, and doing things that you wouldn't normally do in life. Taking a selfie in front of a crappy render of the Eiffel Tower sounds like something anyone can do with a green screen in real life. Even in the initial Metaverse trailer, they tried to make it look like it was this cool place. Like, oh yeah, look at us guys, we're floating around in this cool glass outer space box and we're playing poker. We've got a big red robot as the dealer. We've got some hologram Cortana ripoff as the small blind. Big blind is just some random IT guy that we forced to be here against his will. And across the table from the dealer is your middle school art teacher. Oh, so exciting. We're so hecking fun and quirky, guys. But of course, this backfires, like most corporations' attempts to be hip and relatable. Let's see what the people's response to this was. Oh no, look at that. We had to censor it because people were being mean to us. We had to turn off the dislike button and we had to turn off the comments. But of course, Second Life does not have this problem on their channel because people seem to actually like the game. You know, you would think that Meta would spend part of that $10 billion maybe on hiring people to leave nice comments and to give them thumbs up on their video. But no, this guy had to spend almost 5 max cash stacks to get a selfie in his own version of the Miiverse. And you know what, guys? They're going to keep on pouring money into it because the executives at Meta actually believe that the Web3 metaverse will one day be an ideal utopia. But now it's chaos because the Zucks are in Decentraland, one of their kids is in Roblox, and the other one is on Fortnite. And in order to achieve this ideal utopia, they all have to unite under one banner, and all of these programs have to be able to interoperate with one another. And I just don't see that happening. The reason that all of these big tech companies are able to compete with one another is because each one has their own place in the market. It's because they're not all doing the same thing. That's why I think this idea that so many people have of video game NFTs, where you're going to be able to bring your stuff into every single game, you're going to be able to cross your skins into every new video game that comes out, is a total pipe dream. You're not going to have Fortnite skins mixing with Roblox skins, mixing with Metaverse skins, mixing with CSGO skins, because each of those games, each of those metaverses, whatever you want to call them, is making a boatload of money off of having exclusive control over their own economies and their own in-game rares. And even the way that Mark Zuckerberg thinks that people should be interacting with the metaverse is delusional, because he thinks that we should all be wearing these Meta Quest headsets. But have you ever actually tried one of these things on before? They're not very comfortable. A lot of people actually get motion sickness after wearing these for a while, because seeing yourself move around in a virtual world without actually moving around in the real world can get really disorienting. But the worst part is the system requirements. You need to have this VR headset, and for some experiences like the Oculus games, you actually need to have a decent gaming PC as well. So you're forced to use hardware that most people don't have already. Now, compare that to some of the highest revenue games of all time. All right, most of these are multi-platform. Games like PUBG and Fortnite, they understand that the best way to keep people in their games, in their metaverses, if you want to call it that, is to make it accessible on all platforms. You can play on the computer, you can play on your phone, you can even play PUBG on your smart thermostat. But if you want to take a selfie in front of a crappy version of the Eiffel Tower, go ahead and spend hundreds of dollars on a Quest and give up what little dignity you have left. Who would have thought we'd see Facebook go out like this?